Hello, my name is Andrew Jensen. Most people know me as AJ. I am the Pro Shop Manager here at BowlersMart Rockford-Cherry.
And my name is Justin Mooney. I am an employee here at BowlersMart Rockford-Cherry.
And today we want to talk to you about inserts, basically grips, the things that you can put on your fingers to help make you get a little bit more rotation on the ball, maybe some more comfort, more control. I feel like those are things that you kind of get out of grips in general. Most of it can be decided from your pro shop operator. I think your pro shop operator will or should ask questions, I would think, at times to figure out what your specific needs are for these grips. There are definitely plenty of them out there. Ultimate has them, Vice has them, Turbo has them. We have the old days with some contour grips. Plenty of other ones that I could probably bring up that I think a lot of guys would go, oh man, I remember those, that kind of thing. But primarily in our shop, we typically do Vice and Turbo. Turbo, we don't do near as much, but we do a fair amount because there are some people that do need them, that have used them for a long time. Pro shops in the past in this area, I think, have sold those a little more often. And then we've chosen to utilize the Vice grips, which are on the side that Justin's on currently. So Justin's going to talk to you about a grip that we use, a lot of us guys in the pro shop use, a lot of the guys that are maybe a little bit more advanced players that tend to need a little bit of freedom with their fingers. He's going to talk about the vacuum grips.
Yeah, so one thing I also kind of want to touch base on is there's definitely a lot more options for finger grips out there than you probably think. I think it's just more thought that the only options for finger grips are going to be either conventional, just sticking with the conventional, just drilling the fingers straight into the ball, stuff like that. And then either having your oval and power lift that you're probably going to be most used to seeing. But there's a lot more different options, hence why we're kind of here talking to you about the different options for you. So for vacuum grips for me, I see them as they are very common. It's actually still fairly new, if I am not mistaken. Like, the concept is still fairly new, and it's definitely getting popularity within like the younger players, more advanced players, like what AJ said. So like, I use them myself, he uses them. Basically everybody who works in the shop uses vacuum grips at this point, and we're seeing it a lot with our college kids here. What are vacuum grips? So I want to say the main misconception is people think it's just a different type of grip. It's actually not even a different type of grip. It's just a different process of how we drill the bowling balls.
Yep, different for us.
So it's actually nothing different on the product end. It's all basically our end as a pro shop operator and how we drill the bowling ball.
Yep.
Basically all it is you drill down the first inch into the bowling ball with a bigger bit. In most common cases, it's the 1 30-second bit for us. You can play around with your drill bit sizes on that one. Like, there was a small point where I used an 1 64th as my top bit. And then you just drill down the rest of the way with your normal 30-second bit that you use for normal finger grips and a normal bowling ball. So what's the benefit of vacuum grips? So just that extra room, which is like a 1/16 of an inch on the top part of your finger hole, actually allows the grip to expand. And so if you're someone who kind of struggles with swelling a lot, like I do, especially my fingers, it's actually a very beneficial idea because your grips will expand to allow you to swell but not lose feeling, not have to struggle to get your fingers into your ball, basically. So, and then it just creates some sort of suction so you still have a good grip on it, but once you're coming out to release it, it comes off your hand pretty quick. Basically the same as normal grips, and so you're not really losing anything in terms of your release. It's just more a feel, which to me is a lot more comfortable. And again, if you are one of those people who do struggle with swelling on your fingers, it's a good concept for you.
Yep, I would say to add on to what he's talking about, we have these wonderful tools in here that allow us to be able to fit your fingers as pro shop guys. They do make one for a vacuum grip, which does have the power lift side where there's a little flat edge to the side of it. I'm sure he can take some video or pictures of that later and add that into this as we go. On the other side is the ovals that are more commonly used. Like Justin is saying, typically we want to make sure that you still get to the crease, but there is a wide range of people that are using them, that like as far as two-handers go, one-hander, sometimes people like to, you know, dig their fingers in a little farther. He's one of them. I used to be one of them also. A lot of our two-handers kind of do that generally. So it's up to us and you as we're in here and you're working with us also, as far as getting that to figure out as to whether or not this is an option at some point. Doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be the one right off the bat. It just means that, you know, as you go on, and maybe you start talking that you need some extra feel to the ball, maybe some better ability for that swelling like he was talking about. But these are really great tools for us to be able to get those sizings correct. What he was saying with the vacuum grips is basically when you get your finger inside the grip itself, it should get to a point where it's around your finger fairly snug, not loose, but not super tight, but just enough to where when you go to put your hand in the ball, you're actually going to get out of it fairly clean in general. But if you do have anything else other than swelling and stuff like that, maybe the pro shop guy and you should be talking about, you know, a fit of some kind that might be changing. It might not always just be the swelling that you need that for. But we go back to Vice and Turbo. They both make an option for power lift, power oval, oval. They even have nubs, which are little dots inside the grips that have a little bit more grip to them. So I believe he'll probably take some pictures, maybe a video of these to see the insides of them so that you can understand what we're talking about. This one in particular has what we would consider a mesh bump in it, nub, as they call it. On the other side is the same thing, but Vice actually makes this type of grip in a clear and a purple, and you can actually do the same. They have two sizes on them basically, so you can do like say a 5.5 and a 6. You can flip them over so you don't have to carry a lot of sizes of those in stock. Turbo does make the same concept in theirs as well, but on the other side they have this little bump, like a speed bump on the other side for you to be able to hang on to the ball a little bit better. Back in the day, that was kind of the reason why we use these a little bit more, is just to kind of be able to hang on to the ball a little more, not feel like you were going to lose it, so that the pitches wouldn't be a necessary issue, so to speak. Power ovals are basically going to still look like a slight oval to them, but they're going to have that little bit of a power lift. And like I said, we have those in Vice and Turbo. The lower one is the Vice and the top one is the Turbo. You should be able to see, and you'll probably do a picture and video of that later maybe, where they're a little rounded. They still have a little lip to them, but those are kind of the big differences there. And you know, if you look at them both side to side with each other, you know, you can tell the difference, I think, in general, for a power lift to a power oval. You can remember what they are.
I remember everything.
So then basically after, you know, seeing all that, knowing all that, they have different sizes, 31, 32nd grips that we use for our sizing for the outside diameter of the hole. And then they have 7/8, which are usually in our books called lady grips, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they have to be just for ladies. I know that for a while, I'm pretty sure Mike Dole was using those grips, the smaller 7/8 grips. It's more of a feel thing, really, or taking less out of the ball. You know, those are things that, as a pro shop, I think we think about a little bit more. I think that if you decide, like we just had Don McHugh just step in for a minute here a few seconds ago, he doesn't use a slug on his balls to do stuff when he drills, when he gets them drilled. So he's one of those that kind of leaves some of those things out of it, but he does still use grips. So, you know, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to. I know there are some options to do. Back when I was doing, you know, a lot of no grips, you know, just doing fingertip with no grips was pretty much an option. But we have 7/8 for purposes of kind of seeing it. So I don't know if he'll take a video or not, but we'll probably have that in there, some kind of picture at least to see it. So you can kind of see the difference between the two. Is there anything else that you want to add in?
I mean, really with the 7/8 grips, there is the option to do vacuum with that too, just kind of to stay on topic with the whole vacuum grip idea. It is possible to do vacuums with 7/8 grips. The vacuum bit, at least what we use, don't want to really say it's an industry standard. It's the 15 bit on top. It's just the same concept of the top hole is going to be a 1/16 of an inch bigger. So 7/8 you can do vacuums with. So for ladies or even younger children who don't have big enough fingers to be in the 31s yet, because the 31s are made only down to a size 0. Once you're down to a size 0, you can't get any smaller.
9/16, which is a pretty small size.
So when it comes down to the 7/8 grips, that's when you're actually going to start going into the negatives. I think they go down to about, what, -2? I want to say they go down to, or is it a -1?
A -1.
-1.
Yeah, so you have like 17 and 37 sizes, and that's the smallest you get. So then it's, if you have a smaller finger with that, I know in the past I have drilled, grips for the middle finger because their middle finger was bigger, and the ring finger, you just couldn't get into a grip, so you just did a plain hole. That's pretty common. It can happen. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's weird or, it's the guy that's doing it is some strange person for doing it. We just have to make do with what is there, and if that means that you can have that grip in the finger, I think it's necessary. It's okay. It gives you a little bit more feel to the ball, and you can get a little more on the ball with the grips, I think, in general.
Yeah. And then there's also like some small little tricks that we usually do in the shop. Like it could even be as simple as the person that we're talking to at this moment is still a smaller person. They have their ring finger that can kind of fit a -1, maybe a little loose. So we can do a little bit of a trick of where we even just wrap some electrical tape around the grip.
Yeah.
That's something we actually do pretty commonly.
Yep.
Is just wrapping some tape around the grip. It actually will make it a little bit smaller. So I want to say at that point, you're not necessarily dropping it down like a full size or a half size. It's maybe even like a quarter size, but it's enough to fit the person correctly.
Yeah. We see that sometimes in the 31s too. So there is times when we fit somebody, and I know I've done it for many times, that you fit somebody and they're kind of in between sizes, and they're half sizes when you go from one to the next anyway. So a little bit of tape might be the best option, and if your pro shop operator does that, don't freak out. Don't think it's strange. It's normal. It's something that we do across the board in general sometimes. 1/32 to a 31 generally for the vacuum grips on everything up to a size 8, which is going to be a 13/16 for us, and that's getting a little bit more on the technical side of it, I suppose, that you probably don't necessarily all need to know. But you get past that whole size already goes to an 1/32 for bigger sizes. So then, like what Justin was saying, to clarify what he was talking about, is that bit size up top has to get to a different number, because that 1/32 is what you're using for the actual size of the grip. So we have a guy, I think we used the 1/364. Is that what you were talking about earlier? Most positive. The 1/32 for the size of the grip at the bottom, so it actually sits there and holds onto it, and then the top bit had to be bigger so that he had the actual vacuum to it. I know one thing we didn't really touch base on is that, so you can see these. I'm gonna turn Justin's new Pride over to the side there, and then turn my clone from Rotogrip off to the side. You'll notice that the grips are hanging up on his just a little bit right now currently, and then mine are not. It doesn't mean that he's done something incorrectly 100%. It just means that I've just got used to cutting mine down, because when I go to places or go to tournaments, or if I go to put surface on a ball, the grips protruding like this, they'll have to get cut down anyway. Because one, I think USPC actually has a rule for it. They look for it when you go to nationals and stuff like that. They'll actually look at your ball for the serial number. They'll look at your ball for that to see if you have any protruding grips that are sticking up, because vacuum has become a little more common now. It's been around since I was, starting off in the pro shop stuff, so I know it's been around for a while. We just haven't done it as much, I don't think, throughout time frame. I think more pros do it a lot of times than some of the amateurs and even young people do. But this is going to be something you want to pay attention to. Maybe try and make sure that they get cleaned up if they don't, just so you don't have that problem.
Yeah.
And I know he will at some point when he does his. He just didn't have time to do it yet. But generally, cut them down, and we can take, a razor blade, nice and clean cut to them, and take some. We have an actual barrel sander that he was showing in the video a little bit earlier, but I don't think he got on there. But we use that to kind of. You use a buffing wheel. You can use that. If you're careful with it, you could use this. Buffing wheel usually works really good for the pro shops in general. And then if you don't have a buffing wheel, we go from that to cleaning it up, vacuuming it, and then acetoning it so that it doesn't have any roughness to it. It still feels the same as what you had when you first used the grip. So that'd be the one last thing I would add into this. Is that's kind of one of the things that we'll have to do as a pro shop on our end for you when you leave. But if you have those, you might want to get them in and have them cut them down. So I think that's about it for us.
Yeah.
I think we've pretty much touched base with everything. As always, we're super happy to try and give any kind of information. If you have any questions, feel free to ask it down below in the comments. We will try to do some sharing as we go here, and then hopefully this will get some, good for seed play to it, so that we can actually give you guys some more info. And anything, you could ask us, whatever, it doesn't matter. I'm sure we have some sort of an answer for it, and if we don't, we'll try to give it our best shot.
Yeah. And if there's anything that you guys would like us to kind of talk about, like get more in depth, like what we have been doing in these videos with grips, thumb slugs, the interchangeable, just comment that too, and it'll probably just help us give us an idea of what we can do for a future video. So yeah, that's about it.
All right, well, we look forward to giving you another one here soon. I know we don't come out with these very often, but we're gonna start trying to do as much as we can. It's normally our busy season. It gets a little harder. I go on the road some to do some remodels and whatnot with the shops that we have for BowlersMart. And he's stuck here kind of watching the shop, so time, it'll probably just depend on time, but in general, we'll try to do as many as we can and keep you up to date with some stuff, just so that you can have some more knowledge going forward. All right, we'll talk to you guys later.